Hi friends, it's Brianna and welcome back to Brianna's Bookshelf. So today we're going to be doing a book haul. I have acquired quite a few books early this year in like the first quarter and the beginning of the second quarter of the year here. So I thought I would share with you all what I've bought. I have quite a few books that I'm excited about. We do have a lot of different genres. We've got some fantasy, quite a bit of horror, and even some nonfiction. So it's a pretty wide variety. And without further ado, let's get on into it. First off, we have Tender is the Flesh by Agustina Bazterrica. This is a kind of like literary horror novel, I believe. And this is following kind of like a dystopian future where human meat becomes legal. And we're following someone who works in a factory for human meat. That's pretty much all I know about it so far. This definitely has cannibalism as an element of the story, and it sounds quite spooky. I've also heard that there's a lot of body horror in this one, and that it does get quite gruesome, which, you know, makes sense. But I'm excited to dive into this and find out more. One of my newest pickups from the used bookstore, actually just yesterday, I got Mordew by Pheby, and this is kind of like a darker fantasy book. I am super obsessed with the cover. I think it's so interesting, this kind of like illustrated dark design style that continues around. I think it's pretty cool. And all I know about this book so far is just what I read on the back, and it sounds very spooky, like a very spooky fantasy. So I think this is one that will be super fun for later this year in the fall time. And it says, God is dead, his corpse hidden in the catacombs beneath Mordew. So I love a catacomb story. I've never visited any catacombs, never been to the Paris catacombs, but I am very interested in them. One of my favorite movies ever is As Above, So Below, which takes place in and was actually filmed in the Paris catacombs. I think that they're quite terrifying and also super interesting. So as soon as I heard that this was related to catacombs, that this is where this story takes place, I knew I had to get this book. So this is gonna be maybe kind of a niche fantasy, but hopefully will be really good and dark and creepy. Okay, the next two kind of go together. I got the last two books in the Stalking Jack the Ripper series. Unfortunately, the stickers had kind of a hard time coming off. I just got these at half-price books, so I put the sticker on the front, which is kind of annoying, but no big deal. Hopefully I'll be able to get it off later. But we have Escaping from Houdini and Capturing the Devil. And if you don't know anything about the Stalking Jack the Ripper series, it basically follows Audrey Rose, who wants to become an autopsy technician, and she studies for that profession under her uncle. And we're also joined by Thomas Cresswell, who is another autopsy technician student, and the two of them get into a lot of shenanigans. It's a spooky but fun time uncovering different murders. So this one seems like such a fun vibe. Definitely like Houdini magic, has a ship on the front. Not sure what that's about, but it seems really interesting. And then Capturing the Devil, I think that this one takes place at like the Chicago World's Fair, which sounds like a really fun setting. So I'm super excited to get into these. I'm also probably going to be saving these for like October, September, but I can't wait to finish this series because I've given the first two books 5 stars and I cannot wait to continue. Okay, the next ones are super fun. I think these next two are the ones I'm most excited about in this haul. And these are both from the Evernight book box, which is Illumicrate's horror special edition subscription, which happens quarterly. So if you are subscribed and you don't want any spoilers, please just click away now. I'm going to be spoiling what the books look like from the January and March boxes of this year. So from our January book, we got Bat Eater by Kylie Lee Baker. And this cover is just absolutely just so creepy but so stunning. And then we have these bats on the sprayed edges, which are super cool. My favorite part is actually the reverse dust jacket. So I think this is the UK cover actually, or like related to the UK cover. But yes, our main character in this book, Cora, is a crime scene cleaner. So that's why we have kind of this like cleaning bottle spray. I think that this is such a cool design. I absolutely love it. Cora's sister was killed in like a series of, I think, like Asian American hate crimes, like against Asian Americans. And Cora wants to find out what happened to her sister. So that is all I know about this book so far. The hardcover is super cool too. And then the inside of the dust jacket, or excuse me, the inside of the end papers looks like that. So that is Bat Eater by Kylie Lee Baker. And then the one I just got in the mail is our, I think it's like the March or April book, whatever month it came from. This is The Staircase in the Woods by Tchou Wendig. Now, I'm not too familiar with what this book is about. To be honest, it's one I probably wouldn't have picked up if it hadn't been for the book subscription, but I'm so glad that I got it. I love this font. I think it's so cool. This cover is so like nostalgic, like kind of Goosebumps era almost of books. Yeah, super cool. And then the sprayed edges are so interesting. It's like kind of like wood panels, like in a house or like a boarded up house with words scratched into it, which is like really creepy and fun. I love that. The Naked Book has like different levels of this house. It looks super creepy. It says like, "This place hates you" on this wall. So creepy. And the back is, yeah, just continuation of that. And then the end papers are this really pretty kind of like neon dark situation looking at a staircase, and it really feels like very 80s horror to me. So since I don't know a ton about this book, I'm going to read y'all the synopsis. 5 high school friends are bonded by an oath to protect one another no matter what. Then on a camping trip in the middle of the forest, they find something extraordinary. A mysterious staircase to nowhere. One friend walks up and never comes back down. Then the staircase disappears. 20 years later, the staircase has reappeared. Now the group returns to find the lost boy and what lies beyond the staircase in the woods. Okay, that sounds so interesting, you guys. That definitely gives me like really nostalgic horror vibes, like kind of a Goosebumps situation. That sounds so fun. And I feel like the staircase in the woods was kind of like a creepypasta thing a while back, that people would be like, "Oh yeah, I saw this staircase in the woods," and like, or post pictures or tell like creepypasta stories about it online. So I love that Tchou Wendig went and wrote a whole book about it. I think it's going to be super fun, and I'm so excited to get into that one. Okay, so moving on to a nonfiction. This is Saving Us, a climate scientist's case for hope and healing in a divided world by Katherine Hayhoe. And this was actually gifted to me. It's all about basically climate change and how we can keep hope throughout that, I believe is what it's called, or what it's about. So that's definitely something I need more hope on, and I'm excited to hopefully help my own mental health and feelings about climate change through reading this book. And I think this is the only one in this stack that I have already read. I actually just finished this yesterday. This is The Paleontologist by Luke Dumas, and I'm not going to really talk too much about how I felt about it because I will talk about it in my monthly wrap-up, so if you're curious, come back for that. This is a dinosaur horror story, basically. And we are following this man who works in a museum that he grew up going to. He is now a paleontologist, and he returns to his hometown to work at this museum. And there's all this creepy stuff connected to this museum. So his sister went missing in this museum when he was a little kid, and he wants to figure out what happened to her and solve that mystery. He's also preparing a new fossilized dinosaur for an exhibit that has not been exhibited before, and he is hearing weird noises in the museum at night as he's preparing these dinosaur bones to be displayed. So it has like, yeah, paleontology, like missing person, museum, I don't know. It's a lot of interesting subjects combined together. To be honest, I wasn't a huge fan of it, but I'll get more into that in my monthly wrap up. This one doesn't need too much explanation, probably. This is Queen of Shadows by Sarah J. Maas, and this is the next book that I need to read in the Throne of Glass series. So I went ahead and picked this up so that I can continue the Throne of Glass series. I'm hoping to read this at some point this month. You all probably know what Throne of Glass is about. If not, in short, we are following this assassin, Selena Sardothian, and her journey with all of the other people she meets along the way. And this is, I think, the last book before the tandem read, where there's like 2 books that you're supposed to read at once, which I'm kind of nervous for, but I still have this one to get to before I go to that tandem read. This little book is one that I'm so excited for, you guys, and I'm so obsessed with the cover. This is Annihilation, and this is by Jeff Vandermeer. This is a newer cover, I believe. I'm just really obsessed with it, and this is also a trilogy, and all the new covers are super cool, and I love how little this book is. It's just so cute. I'm obsessed with it. And this is a sci-fi horror, and it is about I think it takes place on Earth, but sometime in the future, where there's this area called Area X, which has like all sorts of ecological disturbances, and yeah, it's basically like eco horror. No one quite knows what's going on in this region, but it is like walled off from the rest of the Earth, and people have tried to go and do investigations into what's going on there, and no one has ever returned. So in Annihilation, we are following a group of women scientists that go into Area X in hopes to finally document what is going on there. And I think this is going to be such a fun story, and the fact that it's a trilogy just makes me so much more excited knowing that there's going to be more than just this little book's amount of information about Area X. Okay, this one is so random, you guys, and to be honest, I probably would not have bought this myself, but my mom read this and loved it, and so she gave it to me to read, and it sounds kind of cute, so I might try it. It's called Close Knit by Jenny Colgan, and I think this is a romance, or like, yeah, contemporary fiction romance kind of vibe, and it takes place in Scotland, and it's heavily centered on knitting. Now, I don't really knit, but I do crochet, so that's kind of the connection point why my mom thought that I would probably also enjoy this. Yeah, so it sounds like it's like all about a knitting circle and a group of women that are in this knitting circle, and then one of them might fall in love with an airline pilot. That's kind of what I'm getting from the back. Sounds kind of cute, not really my usual cup of tea, but it could be a fun little read, especially for summertime, like a quick little beach read perhaps. All right, then I have No Country for Old Men by Cormac McCarthy. This is like a little bit of an older book, kind of like very classic in a modern sense. And there is a movie. I have not seen the movie, not read the book. I really don't know much about it. All I know is that when I've in the past tried to look up like most disturbing books or like books that are super scary, Cormac McCarthy books oftentimes make those lists. And I don't even know that his books are necessarily categorized as horror. They might be, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they just have a lot of really like horrific elements. And this I don't know a ton about, but I think it takes place near the US-Mexico border, and it just follows like kind of the underbelly of like drug smuggling society, and there's a lot of violence, death, yeah, drug smuggling, all that kind of stuff. I've heard that it's just super dark. So this is gonna be an interesting one. I'm not too sure what to expect, hearing that it's so scary, but not really like a horror in the usual sense of the word. So this is gonna be an interesting one to read for sure. Okay, so this one is A Little Seed, and this is by Tchou. This is a memoir, and I think this cover is so freaking cute. I got this at a little independent bookstore, so I'd never heard of this. Totally new to me title. I was initially drawn in by the cover because I love ferns, and it's like a little bit tiny bit iridescent. I don't know if you could see that, but it looks super cool. But yes, this is a memoir about the author's kind of experience growing up as Chinese American, I believe, and then she kind of weaves in this trip she took to Oaxaca, Mexico, and about the ferns that she kind of made a connection with there, which sounds pretty bizarre, but that's up my alley and I love ferns. I have next Jawbone by Monica Ojeda. This one I was able to find used. I'd heard about this from Wicked Reading. I love her recommendations. They are always work out so well for me, and I know that she loves this book. I think that she gave this 5 stars, and I believe this is a horror novel, and it's basically about a group of kids who make up their own religion, and they worship this drag queen god they make up. And that's pretty much all I know. It sounds pretty bizarre and like maybe kind of stream of consciousness, which I think is something that usually clicks for me really well. So I think that I'm really gonna enjoy this, hopefully. Okay, last but not least is, Okay, last but not least is Eileen by Otessa Moshfegh. I basically know nothing about this. I think the last time I talked about this in a video, I said that I thought it was about aliens. I'm pretty sure I was totally wrong. I think that's a different Otessa Moshfegh book, like Searching for Home, or it's like something like that. Something Home, I think, is the title, and it has like a UFO on the cover, so I don't know why I thought it was this one. But I pretty much don't know what this is about, and that's totally okay with me. I think Otessa Moshfegh is an author where her books are, again, pretty bizarre, stream of consciousness, just kind of, it doesn't really matter if you know what it's supposed to be about or not when you go into it, because who knows what you're gonna end up finding anyway. So I'm excited to go into this one pretty blind. Okay, so those were all of the books that I have picked up in the last few months. Thank you so much for watching. I'm really excited to get into all of those. Let me know if you've read any of these books that I just talked about down below. I would love to hear your opinions on them. And I will see y'all later. Bye.